start with the intro like that? I thought you put the intro in later.
No,
That's
it's like
cute.
that.
I love it. It's like live.
It's like that, y'all.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi, boo.
I love those glasses. Where are those from?
You know, I keep telling Alex that we need to get Zenny Optical as a sponsor. And I get
It says drag queen on the
Yeah,
side.
I got it put on there like that.
You can personalize the glasses.
You can personalize them.
That's hot.
So mine say drag queen. I'm going to tell you, I know they're not a sponsor, but I think everybody needs to know this bit of information.
Yeah.
Zenny Optical.
I need to know. Zenny.
Zenni.
Wait, slow it down. Slow your roll.
Zenni.
Okay. So it's Z-E.
Zenni.
N-N-I. Zenny. Optical.
Let me tell you.
And it's .com.
.com. My glasses, I know they're not a sponsor, y'all, but I'm telling you because I like to buy glasses for different outfits.
Yeah.
And now I can. My glasses with prescription, I have prescription and I have progressives because I'm old. With going dark.
Yeah.
Like, what do you get?
Yeah, when it does that thing.
Not transgressions.
Yeah.
But kind of like that. Not progressive.
Yeah.
The other one. Transitional.
Yeah, right.
I should know that word.
You should know that word, exactly.
Less than $100.
Really?
And if I don't put transitionals in, $48.
That's kind of crazy.
So I have like 10 pairs of different glasses that I wear with each outfit.
Wow.
And they're so cute. And you can get the writing on the side, whatever you want.
That's brilliant.
Yes!
Well, the world of commerce is so incredible with the internet and the interwebs and what the children call the www dot
What's
things.
that?
It's crazy. And I just love that you can find all this stuff.
Yeah.
We were just doing an interview before with some people came in with a camera and did an interview. And this kid had these lights. What were they called, Alex? They're called Optica.
Right.
Optica. They were $80. They were like lightsabers from Star Wars.
Okay.
Battery operated. They were so good. They do everything you need for a setup to do light.
So I travel with this thing called Glamcore. And so I think Mimi on First is the one who had them first. And I think they're $350, which is not cheap, but they're so durable. They go in this kind of padded bag. We take them everywhere on tour. So the light, they go up on like these arms.
Yeah.
And they're LED lights. It is the best makeup light you've
Say
ever.
the name again.
Glamcore. I'm going to send you a link.
You know, it's funny you say that because when I used to tour, I used to bring my own light
You
rigging
have to.
with me because I was the MacGyver of drag. Because
Yes.
if you're staying in hotels, most hotels are geared for businessmen, and they have you have a mirror, you have a light on one side and a light on the other side, and that gives you a shadow on each side of your nose.
Yes.
I'm looking at Alex like he knows what I'm talking about.
No, but these are the lights. This is what it looks like, the
that's
Glamcore.
gorgeous,
So
yeah.
this goes on the table, and these two bright LEDs are blasting at your feet, and you can change the brightness.
See, look, the way
And
this
the
is
arms
doing.
move.
The thing is, those things are still on either side of your face.
No, but you can change them because the arms are bendy.
Yeah.
You can put them here and here. You can put them any way you want it. I usually put them up and facing that way.
See, if I'm putting on makeup,
Yeah.
I need the lighting
Which
to
you
be,
haven't done since 1910.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you for telling everybody. I like to use the lighting to be like in Mama's bathroom, where there was over the sink, there was a mirror, and there was one light bulb over the mirror, center above your head.
But
you know
then
what I mean?
you come in my room when I'm doing my makeup, and you hate when I have the up lights on.
It's not overhead. It's on the wall over the mirror. So it's right.
Oh, so it's not here. It's here.
It's right. It's on the wall, right above the mirror, but not in the roof, in the ceiling.
No, you hate that. But that's what you can do with the Glamcore. You can put them anywhere because they're bendy arms.
That looks like a big rig.
It's not. That's like the stand one for the professionals.
Yeah.
I have one that goes on the table. It comes with a tripod.
Yeah.
You're familiar with a tripod.
I've heard of them.
And then the lights can go any way you want. You bend them. It's remarkable.
Right.
But that little lightsaber thing at $70?
It's $80.
And how much? What was it called?
It's called Optica.
Yeah, that's
Optica.
way more affordable than.
That's great.
Yeah.
But, that's for production. That's for if you're filming
But
stuff.
would it be good for makeup?
I bet it would be because
Yeah.
I need a lot of light. I need a lot of light to see to see everything.
We all do, honey. With age comes eyesight issues,
Yeah,
and I'm learning it. But you can have fabulous glasses from Zenni, and you can have great lights from Glamcore and Optica,
Sure.
and you're set to go.
Yeah. Now, you were in Australia.
I was in Australia.
And so was I.
At the same time
At the
as
same
you.
time, we were in Australia together.
How does that always
That's
happen?
so crazy.
It's happened our entire career.
Yeah, but we've never traveled overseas together, have we?
Nope.
No,
Nope.
we haven't.
Nope.
Okay.
We only did we did Disney together one
Right.
year. Did you do Barbados, or was that just me?
No, I didn't do Barbados. When we worked in radio, they would do these remotes where they would send us to different places.
Yeah.
We spent a week, we've talked about this, we spent a week in Disney World in Orlando.
Broadcasting live
every single morning. It was a trip.
So fun.
It was so much fun.
Yeah. So we never did overseas together. We ended up there at the same time.
Yeah, in Perth, Australia.
And you did something that you haven't done in a long time.
Yep.
You came to a club to see me and to see drag.
Yes, I did.
I was after I did 5 states in Australia, and after all of them, I really fell in love with Perth's drag because it was so weird. And I love that weird drag still exists. You know what I mean? Because of the RuPaul's Drag Race effect, everybody's going for this beauty thing.
Yeah.
So it was fun to see. And the weirdo, the weird one won.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the one who did the lip sync of
hair. When the moon.
Oh, no,
and then she did that was her second phase. Her first phase was I Am a Christian.
Yes. She did Marguerite Perrin.
Yes. She won.
And to the T. And she didn't do the glamour thing because now all the drag queens around the world, they look like the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
They do.
And they all have the same dress and the same extension-y hair. And it's all this sort of certain type of.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That weirdness that the thing is, you guys, and I want to talk about this because I think it's important. Drag is many shapes, colors. I love it all. Rue loves it all, obviously. And Drag Race is about that as well, celebrating all different types of drag. But because people see Drag Race now and they see how drag has evolved and they see these beauties, I think a lot of the new kids think that that's the way to go. So what's being forgotten, this is all my opinion, I'm not speaking for Rue. What's being forgotten is where drag came from, which is the weird and the ratchet and
the irreverent.
Yes.
But I think though that drag back then was a social commentary. It was to make fun of and to keep people realizing that don't take life too seriously.
Yes.
But see, what's happening is that they're losing that part of it, the new queens, and they're just going straight for, I want to look as real as possible.
Correct. They're looking for unclockable.
Unclockable. And that's not where I come from with the drag storyline.
I agree 100%. I didn't grow up with it. And it's funny. I mean, I was saying this in an interview recently with Towel Rod that I believe that, yes, as mainstream as we've gotten because of RuPaul's Drag Race, and it's a beautiful thing because when I grew up in New York City, you can agree with me or disagree. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I started hanging out with the gay community. I was 17, just about to turn 18 years old. And for me, drag was the joke of the community. It wasn't accepted. Drag was a joke. You had the trans kids, you had the femme queens, then you had the gays, but you did not. The drag queens were like, oh, she's just a drag queen. And they were always looked at as like the funny, kind of sloppy, sorry, but Lady Bunny type of, thing, which is brilliant. But that's what I grew up with. It was never looked at as artful. It was looked at to the kids who did it and to us in there. Yes, but to the rest of the community, it was not. It was the joke. Right.
Well, I have a theory on that. I think that mainstream cannot accept drag as a serious art form or any type of serious. In my opinion, I don't think they have to or care.
Right.
In fact, I'm making fun of them.
Right.
But if they were to accept it on a serious level, it would mean they would have to deconstruct their whole belief system because drag is making fun of the status quo. Well, most people are in the status quo. So if they accept drag, they'd have to question the status quo.
Correct.
So that would undo their whole belief system. And that's why they can't afford to see drag as any viable form of entertainment.
Yes, but it is agreed to a certain extent, because I do think that it's come a lot further than what we grew up with.
Sure, absolutely.
But with that thought, and with what I'm saying, comes the emergence of this glamour drag and forgetting everything else.
Yeah, forgetting the irreverence and the underlying message of drag, which is don't take life too seriously.
Right.
And I say this in interviews all the time. If you look back over the history of mankind on this planet, there's always been the shaman, the witch doctor, the court jester. They all represent the truth, the duality of who we are. And they're in culture to remind culture to not take yourself too seriously.
Completely.
Because you are an illusion. You are a spiritual being having a human experience.
Yes.
Don't forget that. Don't get caught up in the role you're playing, because it's like being in a play,
Yes.
and then thinking that I am this character.
Well,
yes, I know where you're going with this, because it's very, very seductive.
Yes,
it's very seductive to when you become famous.
Yeah, this is what we're leading into.
When you become famous, it's very easy to believe the hype that you are everything that your press release says you are. And you know what? The truth is, a part of you is that.
Yeah.
A part of you is that. But when you look at the full picture, you really aren't that.
No, and I agree completely. And this came from a conversation that Rue and I were having off the mic, and I'll be the one to say it because I was the one who brought it up. It's interesting to see how the queens change. My firsthand experience with them is I get to see them on this main stage, because I don't talk to them at all throughout the filming, before the filming, and even after the filming. I don't get to know them until like they've done airing and we're out on the road, right? And that's when I get to know them. So seeing them and their little Bambi on the stage for the first time, which is the most beautiful, glorious thing, because this is something they worked really hard to do, and they've made it. And it is the Holy Grail, and we have to experience it and love it while it's on the air and while we're here in this moment, because nothing lasts forever, you know? We'll go 22 cycles, I'm sure, but with that said, you know, you have to live in the moment. So then it brings me to seeing them, like, as we're now premiering, you know, let's use season 8 for an example. I already see the shift, the paradigm shift. I see it. I see the shift in their personas, who they think they are now versus who they were before they were announced or just chosen, or even some of them before they were even on the show. And it's like, oh, you can see straight away who's going to believe the hype, who's going to buy into their public persona and forget who they are.
Right.
And it's and I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm saying it's just interesting.
It's part of the process. You know, everybody has to find their own, water has to find its own level. And I think, you know, I think they're giving themselves the green light to feel the magic, experience the joy, experience what it's like. But it's a very seductive thing, because I've said this before, that fame is like booze. You know, you don't know if someone's going to be a fun drunk or a mean drunk.
I've known you since I'll say it, since 1987, 88. Not personally. I think personally, my first encounter with you, real encounter, instead of, hey girl, with you with a drink and with 18 gays, was 1992 when Supermodel came out. And we've talked about this before. And that was the first time I got into your eyes in a green room. And you said what you said to me, and I said, I don't know if you remember me. And you were like, what?
It was the Pennsylvania Hotel, wasn't it?
It was the Hot 97.
Yeah, but it was the Pennsylvania. It's right there at 7th Avenue and 33rd
It's
Street.
like right in the middle of the
It's called the Pennsylvania?
Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
I remember the huge ballroom.
Yeah.
I remember being in the green room by deli platters and going over, and I was like, I don't know if you remember me. And you were like, bitch, I remember you. You're a superstar. I've been watching you forever. And I'm looking around like, what? Who, me? And it was the most validation I think I've ever received, other than my mother, because I was like, I am? Really? And it was at that moment where there was some kind of connection, but who knew what?
Right.
And then 1996, we started working on the radio together. Hence, that's our career, right? From that point on. And there's a connection that nobody can explain. It's why were we in the same time, same place in that hotel?
Yeah.
Why were we same time, same place for the radio that they put us together? We didn't put us together.
Yeah, right.
Then you brought me to VH1, and wherever it is, you know, and you had said to me things about that before, like our energies are supposed to be together this time in this universe.
Yeah, right.
So with that said, you know, what I was going to ask you is, I've known you all that long, and I don't think you've ever believed the hype. And me too, I think. I think I've always remained the same person. And so have you. How have you, because you are exceptional. You are the most famous drag queen entertainer. Nobody, even the few little trickles throughout the year, nobody ever compared to what you've done. How do you remain not caught in?
I'll tell you, you know, when I was, and we're going to take a break in a minute. When I was 15, I remember looking at the world thinking, I hate this world. I don't want any part of it. It's so hypocritical. And if I'm going to continue on, I'm going to make a pact with myself to never drink the Kool-Aid, to never succumb to the Matrix, and to never take this world as the real thing, that it's all a facade. Don't take it too seriously. So that was my creed from the time I was
But
15
how at
years
15?
old.
Now my 15-year-old's going through it, and it's the same thing.
It was the only choice I could make.
How did you were smart enough to do that?
You know what? I knew that it was like Dorothy looking behind the curtain and going, wait a minute, you're the wizard?
Yeah.
And that sort of revelation, I realized that was the only way I was going to get through this life. So in doing drag, where you put on a persona that's not really you, the person who gets out of the bed in the morning, putting on that persona, I'm always aware that whatever image they're looking at of me is really just that. It's just an image. It's not the real me. In fact, the real me is very, not shy. I'm very introverted. I like to stay to myself.
Right.
But I know how to turn it on to perform
of
and
course.
do the thing. So I never mixed the two. And
But most people do.
They do but I predict that each of the girls who have drank the Kool-Aid,
Yeah.
so to speak, of their own hype, eventually reality sets in because there's a new crop of girls who come,
And the money ain't there
the
anymore,
money ain't
yeah.
there, and you become very, very humble.
Yeah.
And so
you hope. Well, you hope.
I think most people do. And for young kids to have all this fame and all this bling all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and everybody's paying attention to them,
Sure.
you know,
It is seductive.
it is very
Yeah.
seductive. The same thing is true with Hollywood starlets.
Yeah, but some
who-
of them don't ever come down. That's what I'm saying to you. You hope they do.
Yeah.
But sometimes they just don't, and they still fight that fight to live like it was in their era.
Right.
But that doesn't exist anymore. And that's the harsh reality that they can't handle.
Yeah. Hopefully they have people around them who are able to say, hey, you're
off
talking
my
to
cloud?
me right now.
Yeah.
Get off my cloud, or you're talking to me right now. But, I've always had people around me, like Randy and Fenton, who I've been working with for 30 years. But
But
also,
you're lucky to.
I'm very
some
lucky.
people don't have that.
Yeah.
And some people need, and even when you, like, I offer my opinion sometimes when it's not warranted. I know that's shocking. But if they're not ready to receive said opinion,
Yeah.
it'll backfire on me, but I don't really care because
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to impart knowledge that I've lived through and wisdom that I've lived through. But my hope is that they may not be ready to receive it now, but maybe next year they're going to go back, reflect on this and go, Jesus.
Right.
She's right, and I need to do that.
Right, because
you know?
if you are believing the hype, the truth
Yeah.
is you are missing the blessing because you want to be there for the experience. You don't want to
Yes.
be in your head thinking, "Oh, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this." It's like open your eyes
Yeah.
and look around and experience it on a human emotional level.
You know what that is? Gratitude
It's gratitude.
and humility.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we're going to take a real quick break, but we're going to talk about Australia more.
I know we haven't. We just got on a
because
tangent.
I just love it. I know you've
Okay.
grown to love it.
Oh my God! We'll talk about it.
Okay,
We'll do
all
it.
right.
Okay.
This episode is sponsored by Casper.
Yay!
Casper is an online retailer of premium mattresses at a fraction of the price. Now, you can get $50 toward any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/RU. That's right, casper.com/RU. That's the offer code, kids, if you want to get that great deal. What are you waiting for? Go there now, casper.com/RU, and get started today. Oh my goodness, I just really adore the people over at Squarespace. I love any company that makes it easier to do something that used to be very complicated.
Yes.
They have simplified it. Listen, if you want a website, if you want to make a website, it's never been easier. And that is because the people over at Squarespace have done the work for you. They've made it so easy to create a website that you can be proud of, that speaks to who you are and what you want to present. So many people have written to us and told us how wonderful the experience has been in
And
making
easy,
and
and easy.
Listen, guys, if you want to go and make yourself a website, please go to Squarespace. And when you're ready to purchase a plan, get 10% off with the offer code RU. It's so simple. That's squarespace.com, offer code RU. Hey, we're back. We're talking about Australia. Now, I've had a love affair with Australia for many years. I started going there in 95,
Before you
believe.
met George?
No,
No, after.
with George. Went to
Okay.
his family's.
So, like, you didn't go there with Supermodel or anything?
No, did I?
I didn't go with Seduction because our
don't
record
think
label was
so.
too cheap to send us.
Yeah, no, I didn't go there with Superman. I did tour on that trip when I went there with him. Actually, you know what? It was the first time I went there was with MAC Cosmetics.
Ah.
And then we went to Perth to see George's family and all that kind of stuff. And I've been going for years.
I know.
And I love it. I love And of course, Matthew Anderson, who's done my hair and makeup for 20-something years, 24 years. He's Australian, and I've always had Australians in my life.
Yeah.
They've always just been there. So the people, the humor, the everything about it, I just love, except maybe the food. We had a gorgeous pavlova. Is that how you call? Was that what you call it? They call it a pav.
What's that?
It's okay. First of all,
I'm sorry.
Bear with me, people, because I may have the story wrong.
I do know what a Tim Tam is.
Yes, you know what a Tim, but that's English. You know.
No, that's Australian.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, a pav is when the great dancer Anna Pavlova visited Australia. Apparently, it was such a big deal that they created a dessert named after her.
I know, and it looks like her skirt, doesn't it? I know this story. I read it.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's what it is like meringue that's been hardened. I don't know what that substance is.
It's egg white.
It's egg white, right. And George's niece, Brittany, is it Brittany?
I'm never counting on you for names, so don't worry.
She made one that was delicious. It had a little bit of lemon curd in it with fresh berries. It was delicious. And I've never really enjoyed a pav before. But
what about a pap smear?
A pap smear, that's a
that
laugh
one?
riot,
No,
you know. But other than that, the food, we had great breakfasts, but the food overall was not great.
I'll tell you, I've never seen, I don't eat them, but I've never seen eggs as fresh as I've seen in Australia. The thing is, with almost every country...
You've frozen your eggs, though, right?
Many times over. Why do you think all these little gay children are around the world? They're all my children. They're my offspring. For me, on that side of the world, I don't want to say everywhere because you have places like China and Japan that alter their foods and stuff. But for like Europe, they don't do to their food what we do to our foods with all the crap and the GMOs. And so you can get organic quality without even having to label it as organic. Their eggs were so remarkable that when my friend was eating them, I was like, oh my God, they're like orange inside. And orange is like the freshest color yolk.
You don't eat eggs?
No.
Right.
The whole baby chicken thing.
Right.
Plus, they're my autoimmune thing. Yeah. They're highly inflammatory. But with that said, they looked amazing. I did have tons of avocado over there, and there's gluten-free bread available everywhere. But I understand what you're saying about the food. Yeah.
Now, you flew into what city? What was the tour like? You flew into Sydney.
Flew into Sydney, and then from Sydney to Perth.
Right on.
To Perth.
Did you stay in Sydney one night?
No, in the middle of the tour. I went directly Sydney, dropped my bags to go domestic, and went right on to Perth.
I see. So you flew into Sydney, stayed in the airport, and then flew to Perth.
Correct. Oh. So I went into the, I got there, and my favorite moment when I got off the airplane, because you have to take a shuttle from one, because I'm going from international to domestic, right? And it's a bus ride away. Yeah. That's how huge the Sydney International Airport is. So my favorite thing was, first of all, the view coming down in Sydney is so beautiful, and you see the Opera House, and it's so breathtaking. Now, Rue's been an Aussie-phile forever, the same way I've been an Anglophile forever. So our notes have always been Aussie, England. And so now I finally got to experience the gloriousness of Australia, and I'm so in love. I mean, I've loved Baz Luhrmann for all these years, so it makes me feel like a bit of me was going home. Yeah. So my favorite bit I wanted to discuss with you, I actually took notes because I didn't want to forget. Getting off the plane, getting onto this tram, and seeing a huge billboard of Nicole Kidman selling a hair pill.
Yeah, I saw that.
Let's talk for a minute about the irony of Nicole Kidman selling a hair pill.
Well, first of all, she is, she's an Aussie battler.
Oh, yeah.
She's BMX Bandits, and she's
the sweetheart of the country.
Sweetheart of the continent, exactly. So, yes, she is selling a supplement that helps your nails and hair grow stronger. Right. Now, I know what you're talking about because the irony is that we rarely ever see Nicole Kidman's hair.
I think she's bald.
Well, she's not bald. She's got curly hair, which ends up being very
brittle and fine.
Right. So she wears a lot of lace. And I've said this before. Nobody has the lace front game on lock better than Nicole Kidman.
Amen, amen.
Nobody's done it. And listen, you're talking to the queen who brought lace fronts to the forefront, okay?
Yes.
Nobody has
Agreed.
Nobody has
She
it
has
alone.
that movie lace, honey.
She's got that movie lace.
Yeah.
She sometimes has the lace back behind the ear.
Oh, no, she did.
Lace.
She got it everywhere.
But
she's selling
yep.
a hair pill.
A hair pill. I don't remember what the product is
Swiss.
called.
Oh, I wrote it down.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Hair, skin, and nails. I wrote it down because I was just like, it made me laugh so hard by myself on the tram. And I was like, nobody's laughing. But it's the funniest thing, like pointing to the billboard. Nobody got it.
Yeah, yeah.
So there was that. Also, Rue and I talk about the movies that we watch on the airplane, and like I fly Delta exclusively, so I've really exhausted everything.
Yeah.
So now I've gone back and not even looking at the new stuff. I go to Movies A to Z, and I try to see all the old movies that I've never seen. Like I watched To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh.
First of all, how gorgeous was he?
Oh my goodness.
I didn't realize.
Just gorgeous, gorgeous.
I didn't really realize how gorgeous he was, and then
we're talking about
mind block.
Uh-huh,
what was his name?
It's
the one with the glasses.
Yeah.
No, I have a Spencer Tracy note here, and it's not Spencer Tracy. It's not Cary Grant.
I'm getting 4 letters in the first name.
On. It's shit.
You know, as soon as you said that, my mind.
I saw what you were doing to me too. Going, and that would be we're talking about.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Come on, Alex. Kill a Mockingbird say it. Gregory Peck.
Oh my!
So the 4 letters was the last name. How gorgeous was Gregory Peck?
Gorgeous.
I had no idea.
Love, and the timbre of his voice,
flawless.
Beautiful. Yeah. I
Everything.
love that.
The way he played that role.
And you had never seen it before.
Never saw it before.
Yeah.
Read the book. Mm-hmm. I watched that. I watched Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which I just fell in love with Spencer Tracy.
I've never seen that.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm here to tell you. I always heard about that movie, and I'd never seen it. Read about the movie, the play, you know, this. I thought it was all about, what's his face? I'm totally blanking.
Yeah, for Sidney Poitier.
Thank you. I thought
Sidney
it was
Poitier.
I always thought it was about Sidney Poitier because everybody talked about that. But the movie is really about Spencer Tracy's soliloquy at the end. That is what you're gearing up to get to that.
I've seen scenes of that. I've never seen the whole movie. I will watch it.
For it to mean anything to you, you have to watch the whole movie. And it's an easy ride.
Yeah.
Sidney Poitier is so flawless in it. But Spencer Tracy, you get it after watching it.
And listen, Katharine Hepburn's no slouch either.
No. Oh, God, she's amazing. But I didn't buy for a minute.
Didn't she win the Oscar for that?
It
was Lion in Winter. And
Guess Who's Coming to
so
Dinner?
when she tied with Streisand when she won.
You said Streisand again.
Did I say
Streisand?
Streisand. I say Streisand.
You're supposed to say Streisand.
Streisand, right?
Yeah.
When she won for Funny Girl, it was a tie with Katharine Hepburn. Didn't she win for On Golden Pond also? Maybe. I thought she won 3. She got 3, and I know one was for Lion in Winter.
Okay, well, that one I know about too. Look up the Oscars, but as we move on, because I love Katharine Hepburn, but I don't know her whole spiel because she's so genius. She's so natural. Yeah. Those two, I mean, you get it. You totally get it. But I also watched a movie that I'd never seen before. With Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, and Grace Kelly, which was High Society. High Society. I mean, and Celeste Holm. So amazing. Like, I'm getting so back into, I try to watch all the musicals. That's what I try to do first. Like, I watch Guys and Dolls, and you fall just madly in love with Marlon Brando even more. But you really see how hot, like, to me, Frank Sinatra was so teeny tiny. But you totally get his appeal. Oh, you certainly do. He is so good. He's a knockout. He is a real star, and I love him. I listen to Frank Sinatra all the time. And I think I told you that High Society is a remake of a Katharine Hepburn, Cary Grant movie called the Philadelphia Story. I did not know it was a remake. Yeah, it certainly is. So good. And Grace Kelly was so over the top. And so beautiful. Like, you just get mesmerized by her face, don't you? Yeah. So Hepburn won for Long Day's Journey into Night. She won 4. What? Long Day's Journey into Night. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. So she did win for that. But really, it's about Spencer Tracy. Did Spencer Tracy win for that? Look that up. I don't think he won. He died right after that. Did he? Yeah. Was that his last movie? I think so, yeah. He was then sick, she won for The Lion in Winter. And then I was right, on Golden Pond. She won 4 Academy Awards. She deserved every one of them. Wow. That bitch was amazing, really. Long Day's Journey into Night. Don't forget about that one. Yeah, I don't. I've never seen it, but I know about it. Yeah. You know? So you watched old movie. I watched a movie on the plane called The Dressmaker, which is Kate Winslet, Judy Davis, Hugo Weaving,
and Liam Hemsworth. It's an Australian film that didn't come to America, and
her.
it is so good. I watched it 3 times because we traveled all over.
Right.
We flew into Sydney, stayed for 2 nights at the Park Hyatt, which is the most brilliant hotel in Sydney, Australia.
Really?
Yeah, 2 nights at the Park Hyatt. It's very posh.
Yeah.
It's beyond.
Sounds it.
Yeah. And then we flew to Hamilton Island to go to
Qualia,
which was brilliant.
Was it as amazing as it looked?
It was more amazing than it looks. It was actually more amazing than it
Carson
looks.
Kressley is the one who told me
about it.
Is
yes.
that he told you about it too?
Yes. But actually my accountant was saying, had been there also, but went to Hamilton Island for 4 nights, and then we flew to Perth and stayed there.
And then I saw you.
Yeah.
Which was amazing.
Yeah.
And I will say that Qualia is definitely on the bucket list. And on that Virgin Australia flight, I ended up watching Marley and Me. Did you ever see that?
I've never seen it. I hear it's too.
Don't.
I would cry. I won't.
I literally was by myself. I am the most stoic bitch you'll ever meet. You know that.
Well, you can cry, though.
I can. But it takes a lot. I have to really feel like when I talk about my kids and animals.
Right.
I was a disaster. The steward comes over to me and he's like, can I get you anything? And I was like, fine. It was so, don't do it. Like how you were with Inside Out.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Which, of course, we knew was going to win the Oscar.
Yeah. I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to see that.
Back to Australia.
Yeah.
Best experience I ever had in a
because
very
you went
long
from
time.
So you flew into Sydney, you went to Perth. What was the next city after Perth?
So Perth, I went to, so crazy because I went Perth to Sydney, Sydney to Adelaide. No,
Right.
Sydney to Brisbane. Brisbane to Adelaide, Adelaide to Melbourne. Then I had to fly back to Brisbane, then back to Sydney, and then I left. But I had the most time in Brisbane. I had 4 or 5 days just walking along Queen Street there. I went to
I love Brizzy.
Brisbane.
Brizzy's great. See, and I know you didn't take that boat excursion, which is
didn't.
the city boat or
I
city
should've.
something,
I should've.
city cruise something,
Yeah.
and it's just great. It goes up and down the river. I put my headphones on and listen to music, and just goes up and down the river. It's fantastic.
Going back at the end of June.
Are you?
Yes, with the Bots tour.
Oh, of course.
So I will do that then if I have the time.
Yes.
We don't have a lot of time. It's like I had way more time this time. We're going
Yeah.
there to perform and probably get out. 'cause
Right.
we got to get back. But with that said, Brisbane was the queens there were amazing.
Wow.
The queens in Melbourne, honey, these bitches did not play.
I love Melbourne. I love it. I've never been to Adelaide, though.
Adelaide was amazing.
We're going to go there next because there's something called Kangaroo Island, and they have a resort there called the Southern.
I've heard about Kangaroo
Southern
Island.
Crown or something like that. It's some resort there that I want to go to.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you that the thing is with Adelaide, they don't get a lot. So they get really excited. I know that that's what the kids tell me. And I was able to go see the Fringe Festival.
Oh, yes.
So I was able to take in some shows. I got
Yeah.
to see Johnny Wu from the UK, who was there with Gâteau Chocolat.
Yeah.
They did the night of the musicals, and I
Wow.
had so much fun with that. They were fabulous. I just had an all around incredible experience, and I would do it all again. I mean, I'm obsessed with wombats now. I really, really want one. And I just had the best time. Like, I would love to experience that with my kids. Like, they would love it.
You have to do that.
Yeah.
Now, when you weren't here, Michelle, I had a little time with a special guest.
Ooh.
And we're going to play that interview right now. Faith Evans.
Oh, yeah.
Who is legendary and just one of my favorite singers of all time.
I never knew.
Yes. Yeah. You know what my favorite song of hers is?
Which one?
Gone Already. It was a song from...
I remember that.
I think it was 2011,
Yeah.
I believe. Oh, my God.
But just her voice, she sings anything.
She
Yeah.
is so great. So after this break, you'll hear my interview with Faith Evans.
Cool.
This episode is sponsored by Casper. Casper is an amazing online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price. Now, Michelle, you're telling people catcall you on the street about your mattress.
You know, gone are the days where they'd be like, "Ooh, hey,
Hey,
so
Miss
you
Thing."
want some fries with that shake?" No, those days are gone. Now it's like, "Hey, how's that Casper mattress?" Not even kidding. I love you. How's that Casper?
Isn't that funny? Well, you know, we joke about your Casper mattress because you love it so much.
I really, really do.
And you get a lot of good use out of
And
it.
it makes me so happy. Like when sometimes I hike a lot in my neighborhood with my husband, and we'll pass like somebody's house, and you see the box because it comes delivered in a box.
Yes,
Like, oh my
yes.
God, look, they must listen to our podcast.
Yes.
Because how else would they know
How
about
else would they know about these gorgeous Casper mattresses? And, we love it so much. People like our friend PJ
Yes.
called you up to ask if you really, really love it. And what was your answer?
Well, let's just say this, sidebar. Ru and I will not talk about it if we don't believe in it.
That's right.
And support the people who do it and the company as a whole. So if it's on here, trust me, we believe in it, okay?
Yes.
We believe in all of our sponsors. And what I told PJ was 100%, and PJ knows better. Like,
yes.
He should know that you and I would not, come on.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, absolutely, I have it. I absolutely love it. You need to get it. And he listened and he went and got it.
Well, you too can enjoy a Casper mattress by going to casper.com/Ru. That's using the offer code RU. You can get $50 toward any mattress purchase by just using this offer code. It is amazing. What are you waiting for? We spend so much of our time on this planet in bed.
On our backs.
On our backs in bed. Why not use this great deal to get a mattress you're going to love and make you feel like $1 million?
Can I get an amen up in here?
Yes. Hallelujah. Just go there. Go to casper.com/RU. That's our offer code, RU. Go there now. Faith Evans is here, and I was telling the story about Atlanta, Georgia. We both lived in Atlanta, Georgia. I moved there in 76. When did you move there?
I moved there in December of 1999.
In 99. Why did you move there? Because that was when the baby face and the music thing was really happening in Atlanta.
It was a little post the baby face and the face time, with them being really big down there. I moved there because after Big passed away, I remarried and I left Bad Boy Records. I think I moved before I actually left Bad Boy, but I was sort of trying to contemplate what my next move was. And my ex-husband thought that it would be a good idea to move the family there just to kind of get a fresh start. And because of the music business being, booming there, we thought it would be a good fit. I like living there. I miss the space and the size of my house for the price I paid, but I don't know. It was seeming like slavery wasn't quite over.
Well, you were living in Alpharetta,
But even out to me, just even our folks to me have a certain mentality to me down there. I was actually thrown through a window by a police officer before I lived in Atlanta. This was in 97 when Puff used to have his birthday weekends down there, and I was there. And I have a permanent back injury actually from being thrown through a cop by a storefront window by a black officer.
Wait a minute now.
Because I wouldn't move when he told me to move, and I wasn't doing anything wrong. I didn't argue with him, and he didn't know I was, Faith Evans, but why should I have to tell you that for you not to throw me through a window? But so I don't know. How I ended up moving there is another story after that, but.
Was there a lawsuit?
Yeah, but, the story is they arrested me. I found out I was bleeding. They handcuffed me, took me to the hospital. The hospital sold me up, did an x-ray. So I went back to New York where I lived at the time and found out I had glass sewn up in my back. And it was a county hospital. Shady Grady is what they call it. And so when I went to court, the prosecutor was trying to play on this celebrity. And they think they could do whatever they want. And she probably did it. And the cop was saying I tried to beat him up or something, So I didn't, needless to say, I settled, for peanuts pretty much.
Because you didn't want to have to deal with...
Well, they weren't trying to really offer me. They offered me a settlement, and it was. I didn't want to keep spending money traveling there. I didn't live there. I had to bring my witness and this attorney who I didn't really know. I just thought that going to court would be the best thing because I didn't do anything wrong. I felt like justice would prevail. But
right.
There were a bunch of cops who weren't even on the scene saying, they saw me trying to fight this man. So.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So Biggie was having a birthday party in Atlanta, Georgia at a club or something.
It was actually Puff's party. Big was there though.
Right. It was Puffy's party in Atlanta, Georgia. Somehow the police were involved because they wanted to break it up or something, I'm assuming.
Well, no, actually I was standing quietly outside of the party waiting for my friends to come so we could all walk in together. I wasn't doing anything. You hadn't even gone
to the party yet?
No, never made it.
Was it at a club or at a house?
It was at a club. So I guess there was a crowd over here behind barricades. I'm standing in front of the business next door, away from the club, so that no one would even say, hey, Faith Evans, you know. I'm just kind of by myself with one friend. The rest of the people went to park and come meet us. And in 2 minutes time, he came and told me to move. We kind of told him we were waiting for our friends. He walked over there to the crowd, came back, you got to move. And then my friend tried to explain to him, we're waiting for our security. She's an artist, but he didn't really get 2 words out. And then he pushed him, grabbed me, and threw me through the window.
Oh my goodness!
It happened really fast.
Faith, even the things I know about you, and you're a young woman. So much has happened in your life. So much. Yeah. So when you these things happen, do you look and think, okay, what was the real meaning behind that? What was the sort of subtext to what that situation was? Is that where your mind goes?
All the time.
What do you think that was?
You know what? And I don't think it meant that I wasn't supposed to be out celebrating then or at that time. But I think now it's funny. My friends call me Granny. That's my nickname because I don't go out. Like I go to bed at 8 p.m.
Yeah, you and me
I
both.
wake up to work out at 4 a.m. And they're like, you're never going to find a man like sitting there. But I'm not really tripping, but they call me Granny because I don't go out and, want to go to the parties. And I'm like, I'm okay. Like I can have a cocktail at home,
Sure.
And I think maybe that, I don't know. Not that changed me from hanging out even right, in the year after that happened, but it's probably a little subliminal, something very subconscious that, plays in my not really being pressed about going to parties or standing in line, going to clubs. Like that's just not really my lifestyle. Well, I don't know. But the lesson in it, I guess, was to, further build my patience, further build my, trying to understand different sides of situations. Cause that was a huge lesson. Like, I know I didn't do any wrong, God. I know, I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. Why would that happen? But, I'm sure that man has, had that come back to him tenfold, Yeah. I actually heard he was killed.
Oh no.
The, officer got, I don't know if it's true, but, I don't know. It was a crazy situation. I still kind of come up with different things that maybe that was the lesson. But, I can think of a few things that I think stem from that.
Because, when you think about a person, like say this officer who eventually is no longer with us, the things that are attracted to you throughout your life and what you're attracting to you. You became a star early on. First of all, you were born in Florida. Your mother, who wanted to be a singer and wanted to do the thing, decided, I'm going to leave the kids with, was it her aunt or her mother?
It was actually her cousin. Her
cousin. And that's who raised you. Mm-hmm. And then through the series of events, all of these things where you were discovered as a background singer. First of all, you were singing in the church. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to get a handle on why things happen the way they do. And why do you think they happen the way they why did you become a star? How did Bad Boy find you? Mm-hmm. All of that. Do you have any idea?
Well, I think it is really a matter of, I know for a fact that I'm a great example of, how to just maintain who you really are. Mm-hmm. I mean, throughout the good, the bad, the successes. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that I have yet to reach my peak. I certainly haven't seen my greatest success yet, but, throughout all these things, I've always done, I feel like I can pat myself on the back and say I've done a great job at still being the same person inside. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've never let the music industry or any other, the successes that came with it consume me or really be my life. It's a part of my life. It's a blessing to be able to make money or, become popular or successful. But I think from early on, I've realized the good and the bad with that and kind of always prayed that God help me to maintain humility and try and still just be nice. It's nice to be nice. I still believe that, even though a lot of people feel like nice guys finish last, whatever. But I don't know. I don't measure my success by numbers and record sales and chart position. Like I know that there's something that he put in me besides the gift of song that really connects with people. And I think it has a lot to do with how I was raised and just the person that I am, trying to have a good spirit and leave people with a warm, feeling.
Well, it connects with me. Your voice is, I'm addicted to your voice. I'm addicted to the sound of your voice. It resonates somewhere it enters my ears. It resonates somewhere in my head. And I get addicted to the feeling, especially when you harmonize with yourself. I get addicted to the sound of it, how it resonates in my head.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what I mean? I'm honest to God truth. I'm a huge fan.
Thank you.
So you wrote, the name of your book is Keeping the Faith.
Keep the faith.
Keep the Faith. What did you learn about yourself in writing the book?
Well, I've always known that I have a sense of humor, but I mean, it's certainly, I was able to kind of show that side of my personality because even though I had a collaborator, when I first decided to do the book, I really started out literally writing, all the stuff, then she and I were both pregnant at the same time, living on different coasts. So it kind of like that started to kind of not work out so well in the essence of time. So we started just having conversations and then we would go back and forth. I would correct her and say, well, I wouldn't say it like that. I really made it my goal to be tactfully honest as well. Like, some things it's not my place to tell other people's story, but in where it played into my life, I can be tactful about how I present that, oh my God, I hate when I do that. What was I saying?
Well, no, you were saying you found out you had a sense of humor.
I was able to play up my sense of humor in connecting the different stories and things that have happened in my life. Cause some stuff I would forget about, and I would have like, let me call or, have her call my friend who was there with me at the time. And I'm like, I now read the book from time to time. I read my memoir on the plane sometimes just to laugh.
To remember and
to laugh. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God, we are crazy. Like,
but so much happened to you so
and
early
very fearless, just the like, dang, I really did some stuff that I'm like, wow, if my kids did that.
Can you imagine though? Because what are the ages of the kids?
My daughter's 22.
You have a daughter who's 22.
Yep. China's 22. CJ's 18. He'll be 19 next month. I have a 17-year-old and an 8-year-old.
And an 8-year-old. Mm-hmm. And so okay, so if the 8-year-old, what were you doing at 8 years old?
Wow. At 8 years old, I was definitely singing in church and in the school choir.
In Florida?
In Newark, New Jersey.
Newark.
Yeah, I moved to Newark like at 6, 7 months old.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so I grew up mostly in New Jersey. I was probably trying to write songs, but I kept it a secret. I think I had a Casio keyboard, singing in church and school and at the Newark Airport Family Fest and, everybody's funeral and wedding in the church.
So you knew early on that it was, not only could you just sing, but you had something really special.
Yes.
Who told you had something special?
Well, I can't really remember, but I mean, I think based on just the response and the fact that there became more of there was more requests coming in for me to sing here and there. They put me in the church choir at an age earlier than what you were supposed to be, allowed to be in the choir. So, things like that. I mean, and at the same time, I was also always, really good in school. My grades were always good. So I was in a school that while it was a public school, they had an accelerated program, a talented and gifted program for academically accelerated students. So I kind of was, doing those things. I was always doing something. I always found a way to get out of the house because my grandparents or my mother's cousins, but I called them my grandparents because they were older and it was easier to explain, growing up. But they raised like over 100 foster kids.
I read
You know
that.
what I mean? So it was like throughout my childhood, I was always, there was always people in and out of the house, a bunch of different backgrounds and things like that. But me, I'm always keeping it moving. Like I got rehearsal and I was in pageants for a minute,
Really?
I won a pageant. That's funny. You said 8. I won a pageant when I was 8, Miss Fashion Teen. And listen, I was the youngest one and it had nothing to do with fashion.
Miss Fashion Teen.
Yes.
At 8 years old.
At 8 years old. I was the youngest
Who
contestant.
entered you into the pageant?
My mother did because my godmother was like good friends with the lady who gave the pageant. I think she was like a former fashion fair model. The lady who started the pageants. Sharon Carswell, honey. And, they entered me in the pageant and, we had to actually perform and write an essay and, walk with sportswear and an evening gown and do our talent. But I won the talent component, but I also won the essay, and I was the youngest contestant. I think I was 8. There might have been a couple of 10, 12, 12 and 13-year-olds. It was like 8 to 13, but I was obviously the only 8-year-old who entered, but I won. And my first runner-up was 13, and she had been in it for for 5 years.
Did she give you
She
dirty?
probably looked at me with disgust, like, you little wench. I remember that part right there. I was so scared. I was so shy when I was young. But now I probably would have paid it. Like, girl, bye.
Yeah.
But I was all scared that I won, Like, why am I afraid?
What did you win? Did you money
I
or
won
something?
this little, well, actually it was a big trophy then. It was 4 feet tall. I won like $250, a little ring, a trip to Florida. For a week, I went to the Miss America pageant.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's pretty good.
It wasn't bad.
Do you enter your kids in things like how has your experience and your experience with your foster parents who raised over 100 kids? How has that experience helped you with your own kids?
Oh wow! Well, you know what? They don't have it like I did because I won't smack the heck out of them like our parents did. But they know that. I will go there if I have to, but I haven't had to that many times, and with them growing up, I really haven't. I think, if anything, it certainly helped me to have a balance. Like I think about stuff like that now, and then I also try and I don't know what it was. I hate to say it, I could be wrong, but I tend to always think when it comes to like people of a certain age of color who may have been not far removed from just civil rights and slavery and all that stuff. I tend to think a lot of the ways that they dealt with their children came from how, that. Like I remember several times when I was growing up and I may have been getting chastised for something. And I'm like, but I didn't do that. I said that, and they would be like, are you calling me a liar? And I'm like, no, I'm trying to explain. Like I never was like that with my kids. So that's one thing. I mean, I know there are different things that I always made it a note to try and not do. I want to listen. I want them to be able to explain, but at the same time, I'm not falling for the bullshit either.
Right,
I'll be like, yeah. And so I would look at some parents that believe everything and I'll be like, that makes no sense to me. Now, don't get me wrong. They could be telling the truth, but I'm about to analyze everything. Like, huh? Like, really? I was married to your father. You got to remember.
Yeah, right.
The lies, the tricks.
Well, I love what Judge Judy says, that every time you can tell when a teenager is lying when their lips are moving. And I love that. I love that about her.
Wow, that's a good one.
But it's interesting. You're the people who raised you. I can't imagine raising over 100 kids. Are they? Do you keep in touch with all these kids?
Honey, all of them. I mean, there are a lot of them that have passed away, but even a few of them were still either living from time to time in that house. Yeah. My grandfather actually just passed away a year ago, and some of those children who grew up in the house have kids, and their kids may have lived there for a short period. My grandmother, who's 85 now, is still alive, keeping some of these people's kids. And I was like, so I get mad at it because I really want her to just be chilling and enjoying it. But I'm like, I guess she wouldn't even be right if she didn't, you know?
Right. No, that's how she thrives.
But on the same token, I feel like some people take advantage of that, I definitely got the best of, each of my grandmother and my mom's personality. Because although my mother, I didn't live with her the whole time growing up, she was always around. She lived with us for a minute. And then when she lived in her own place, I would always, stay at her house. And she gave me that extra discipline, that third whooping, because like, you my child, I'm gonna whoop you too.
Right. And she also had aspirations to be a singer and to be famous and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And are you a better singer than your mother?
She doesn't really sing anymore. My mom, she's in the, I don't even know if she's still in the church choir, but it's been years since I actually heard her sing a solo.
Similar
when I
voice?
do a gospel, I don't think so. I think I have a higher, she has a more of a low alto voice. It's very, I want to say a combination of bluesy, folky, soul, you know, because my mom was actually the only black singer in an all-white band in Florida.
Did they have any success or fame?
They were just a local band, but you know, she was pretty like, she didn't care. She was like, I don't give a fuck. Like they used to tell them they couldn't play in places because she was black, but she was their lead singer, and they, you know, they had to let them play.
Is that where she met your father? He was also in the band.
He was in another band. Now, I never met him, but as the story goes, you know, I think he was in another band, and I think his family came for money. And, you know, obviously him getting a black girl pregnant wasn't the coolest thing for him.
Because your father's white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she moved around and had me, and, you know, here I am.
And here you are. And, you know, it's an interesting story. I have not read the book, but I really cannot wait to read the book, because it always interests me, people who literally have lightning strike around them. And you're one of those people. You know, you were just a chosen child. Because you found success very, very. I remember I was working with Sam Fine, and he showed me a Polaroid of you from, I guess it was used to one of your videos. I don't know which one it was. Did he do several of your videos?
Love Me. He did about 3 of them, I believe, for my first, you know.
And it was the first time I'd heard of you was this picture, and I saw this. He had beat your face up. Sam Fine is the amazing makeup artist. And I thought, who is this girl? And I seeked out and found your music. Man, oh man. And you were just, how old were you when when you had your first hit? You were like 21?
Mm-hmm. I was
21 years old. Were you ready for it then?
I think I was ready in a lot of ways. I mean, I was ready, but I didn't know I was. Right. Put it like that, you know? I was ready. I didn't know I was, because I didn't even know what to expect. I didn't know I was going to blow up. I didn't know people were going to like my music. I definitely, you know, I never took it that seriously, but I know I'm gifted, and I know at this point I obviously have a cool fan base that supports and loves my music. But, you know, I used to constantly ask, like, do you think people are going to like my music? You think they're going to like it? And I heard it on the radio, and I just, you know, couldn't believe it. So
we're talking to Faith Evans. Okay, let's just backtrack. The story is that you were in LA, working with Albie Shore. And then Puffy found you as a background singer for Albie Shore. Is that how it happened?
Not really. My daughter to China's dad, he's a producer, Kayama. He was working with Christopher Williams, actually. Right. And when I was pregnant with her, I moved out here. And at the time, I was in my freshman year at Fordham University on an academic scholarship.
In Los Angeles?
In the Bronx. This is in New York. Yeah. And I used to just go to the studio to take her to see her dad. I was doing my singing thing, you know, still going to the studio, writing and stuff. But I never had any intentions on necessarily being a recording artist. I knew I could sing. I knew I was going to be a singer somewhere, like in the lounge, somewhere singing. I heard that singing commercials, you know, so I'm like, whatever, I'm going to make some money singing. But I still had to go to school because I got a scholarship.
Yeah.
I used to take the baby to see her dad. This is obviously after I dropped out of school and hang out at the studio. And Al happened to hear a song that I laid some vocals on with them when I was in LA, just hanging out. You know, it wasn't like this was something I was doing, you know, expecting anything from it. He couldn't believe that this girl was just sitting in the lounge, not trying to be a singer. You know what I mean? He was like, this is not you on this tape. Like, so her dad used to disappear. So he disappeared one final time, and I came to the studio, and I was like, he's not here, but he told me to keep coming. And he just, from that day on, he started paying me every week to come and just lay down demos for the songs that he was writing. So I wasn't necessarily,
I'll be sure. Because Christopher Williams was the big star at Uptown Records.
Yes.
And then
I believe they both were.
Yes, that's right. He was. Oh, right. Albie Shore was an executive at Uptown, wasn't he?
He was at one point, but I'm pretty sure he may have come out on Motown, but at some point they were both Uptown artists. But Chris was more like family because I was, you know, the girlfriend of this young producer he signed. I actually went in to sing some vocals for a Christopher Williams record when I was probably 8 months pregnant with China. And Puff was the producer on that song. However, it was kind of unrelated the two times because months later, her dad was trying to get a song on Usher's project, which Puff was producing Usher's first album. So I'm no longer pregnant, but I'm still driving him to the studio. And they happened to need a girl to sing this part on the Usher record. Puffy did. I'm in the lounge with the baby again. And while this is going on, I'm still doing this work for Al, but that was just, at this time, this was my job. He's paying me. I'm on welfare, you know? So I'm all right. And my baby daddy kind of felt, you know, he's trying to get work now because he kind of messed up with that hookup over there. And then as soon as they called me in to sing the line, you know, I was like, Mr. Puffy, can I change it around a little bit? And I went in there and laid them 2 lines out, honey. And as soon as I walked out, he was like, do you want to sign to my new record label? And for years, I always wondered, did he remember me from when I was pregnant and I sang that little part on the Christopher Williams song? He said he did, but I'm like, there's no way you remember me. He's like, how could I forget that voice? But I'm like, I don't know. I don't think you remember me because that wasn't, you know, it wasn't enough of a part. I probably had to sing 2 words. It wasn't like I got to just arrange and put my Faith Evans on it. So I was like, I wondered, did he remember? He said he does, though.
Wow.
And he said he does.
And so then shortly after that, he did find you.
No, this day when I walked out the booth, he asked me, did I want to sign to his label?
I see.
And that's when the negotiations began.
Wow.
And in that time, as I was working out my deal, I worked on Usher's first album, which he was already working on, and then Mary's My Life album. And then I started working on my first album.
Hey guys, talk about Squarespace. I just love it. And I love that you guys love it. We get so many letters from people who have used this service and had such a great experience. Now, of course, Squarespace is the company that makes making a website so easy. Gorgeous websites in minutes. Just minutes.
And I think that's what people fear, Ru. They think about websites. They think about, how do I do this on my own? I cannot. I have to hire somebody, and they're paying out money that they really need. Not with Squarespace, boo.
Not anymore. It's not like that anymore. In fact, we get so many letters from people at RuPaulPodcast@gmail.com with their experience in creating websites. You have a letter there, right?
I do, from Mia. She says, I'm obsessed with your podcast. By far one of the most entertaining podcasts I listen to. I love the chemistry you and Michelle have and always enjoy the guests you have on. I also think Squarespace is amazing and so easy to use. My friend Jess and I started up a website through Squarespace called YourSpicyLife.com.
Oh, I love that.
We want to encourage people to spice up their life daily. Oh, I love this. Spice up your life.
Why not?
Thank you for bringing Squarespace to my attention, and keep up the great work with your podcast. Love, Mia.
Yeah, well, keep those emails coming, guys. We love to hear about your experiences at Squarespace. And you can get a free trial with no credit card required just by going to squarespace.com. And when you're blown away and ready to confirm a plan, use the offer code RU. Get 10% off. Simple as that. Get a great deal, and you'll be helping keep What's the Tea free.
Yay.
That's right. And thanks again to Squarespace for doing such a wonderful job over there and treating our listeners with the respect they deserve.
Respect.
Yes. Barbara, please.
You just can't help it. Also, you guys, keep sending us your websites and your mail, whatever you want to say to us. We love hearing from you. RuPaulPodcast@gmail.com. That's RuPaulPodcast@gmail.com.
So I wasn't necessarily a background singer for anyone, but I was in the studio working. That's kind of how I ended up in the mix, I would say, or really in the business, was by way of someone hearing my voice singing backgrounds on someone's record. But that wasn't really ever my intention on, I'm going to be a background singer.
Right.
It just was something I made money doing for a few months until he asked me to sign, you know?
Now, in the Faith Evans that we hear on records today, when did you find that voice? Was that voice always there? I mean, even just knowing your voice and knowing what it's supposed to sound like, when did you find your voice?
I am still growing into it, but I know for a fact that I've come a long way. I mean, I listened to my first album, and there's so much stuff I wanted to fix on there, but Puff was like, no, it's the raw, it's the emotion, it's raw. Like, okay, but you know, I sound like I'm holding back to me a lot, but like now I don't know, I think it may have been around my third album.
Really?
That I started really opening up more vocally and saying, you know, like, I listen to Ella, I listen to Mamas and Papas. It's okay to kind of not, you know, I think in the beginning it was straddling the fence of coming from church and not wanting to over sing on a record. I always hated to hear somebody over, like, why are you coming out going, like, calm down, boo. But then when I first came out, a lot of people that knew me from church was like, you're not singing like you do in church. And I'm like, well, I'm not in church. I'm making a record. It's different. And it's not a church record either, you know?
Right.
So I think once I got over that whole, even thinking about all that, you know what I mean? Like, just sing, you know what I mean? Now it's like, I'll do whatever I want to do. Wow.
Yeah. Well, you know, what's funny is my favorite record for you is Almost Already Gone. And there's something you do, and you talked about not over-singing something you do that is very subtle, like the I'll say, to keep it clean, the sort of rim shot of the song, you slightly slow the tempo of the rhythm down, and then you just hit that mark, and it's very subtle, but it's the moment in the song. It is the moment in the song. And I always have to take my finger and do like this every time you do that. I have to point it and punch, go, that's it, right there. And it's very gospel, but it's very subtle. It's not an over the top, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Is that directly come from the church? Is that knowledge? Is that from the church?
I think that's just a feeling. It's just a, I don't know. It's just a certain thing that sometimes these things that, like, I listen back now I start to notice these things. Like, I guess I do have a certain thing. That's just my thing, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what to say, what to call it. But yeah, I do have certain stylings that I'm like, where does that come from? I don't know. You hear some of my hums, and I don't know.
Okay, so you've done.
I guess it's just kind of fearlessness now.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's where someone finds their voice. I mean, so much, and I'm sure you've gone through this with the book and tell all these stories, but in just the little that I know about you, it's pretty amazing. I mean, do you look at your story and go, wow, really amazing early on when so many people for years tried to get those meetings and try to get in the room with these big producers and these huge superstars. It seems like it was your destiny, you know, and it was, it seems like it was just your calling. What was your part in it though? You know, what did you do? I want to know how this happened. You know, with Biggie, how did you meet Biggie?
I met Big after we were both, actually, he was signed to Bad Boy when Puff was still with Uptown. So I guess when Puff got fired, he took him, you know, when he was about to start his label. But I was already signed. He just didn't know. He said he used to see me going in and out of the studio, but he thought I was like a background singer or someone session singer or something, or a writer. And Puff had a photo shoot for all his new artists, and Big, myself and Craig Mack were the only ones that ended up there with Puff. And that's where we met.
Right. How many artists were on the label at that point?
I know Total was supposed to be there. They didn't end up there that day. It may have been just us.
So it was
maybe Craig Mack, Big, me, and Total.
And Total.
I think at the time, I think so.
What happens to all these people? Like, what happens to Total? You know, do you hear what happens to Kima, Keisha, and Pam?
I talk to all of them.
You do, really?
Yes. Keisha's out here. You know, she's married to Omar Epps.
I did not know that.
Yes. And they have 2 or 3 children. And Kima and Pam, we've done a few shows together in the last year. A few of the Bad Boy artists, some different promoters have booked us, you know, together.
Do they perform as Total?
The 2 of them. They perform as Total.
Do they get to keep the name?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody, I don't know how that works.
Well, I would
unless someone unless one of them took those steps to copyright the name, then I'm assuming
I would think that Puffy
that
owns
the label,
the name.
right? But you know, I don't know if that works when you leave your master somewhere. Does that go along with the name of I don't know how that works. Right. But honey, what? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that name is not their personal government name, so that's a different story. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You've done gospel. You obviously do R&B and hip hop and stuff. What is the album that you haven't done? Like the jazz album?
I haven't done my jazz album. I haven't done my gospel album yet, even though I've done several gospel features.
Right.
But I do want to do a gospel album. But I'm more excited, not more excited. I want to do my jazz album before the gospel album because I think I've done so many gospel records, grew up in church, and, it's kind of to be expected. But I want to do my jazz album.
First of all, what's your favorite gospel song? My mother's was Precious Lord, but I love that Albertina Walker. I go to God in prayer.
Oh,
do you know that song?
I go to God. There's different versions of it, though.
Yeah. I like Albertina Walker's version of it.
I like Precious Lord. I like Walk With Me, Lord, actually. That's what I sang at Biggie's funeral.
Oh, wow.
I like Walk With Me,
How can
Lord.
you sing if you're being emotional? Do you choke up? You can get it out?
Do you want to know that story? Because I didn't think I could do it. And I told, when we were putting the program together, I had some of my friends play the music, and a couple of my friends sang, as well as the group 112. And I told Mark Pitts, who was both me and Big's manager at the time, he's like, what about you? I was like, no, I definitely can't sing. But as the program went on and there were different, it was so much craziness and people falling out. And then what happened was, Mary J. Blige walked past the first row, which I was on, and she acknowledged everybody but me. And at that moment, I swear there was something in my spirit that I felt Big was telling me, you better get up right now. He was like, you can't sing for me? You better get up right now. And so I, tapped Mark and told him that I wanted to get up and sing. And I sang Walk With Me. And I was like, this is not for him. This is for us.
Yes.
This is for us.
Why do you think she didn't say anything to you?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Have you spoken since? Yeah.
I probably saw her. I mean, definitely that same year I saw her, and she, apologized. She didn't per se apologize for that, but, she gave me a hug and, I love you. But I think at the time, because of all of the hype and attention that was put on Little Kim and how she was acting at the service, and Mary kind of being there with her as her friend, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know what she was going through, but it was noticeable. I mean, it's not like it made a huge difference in my life. Like, oh my God, I'm so hurt. But it was definitely noticeable. And, by other people, you know what I'm saying? Like other people in the industry kind of said like, wow, I thought that was really, but, I was like, well, I just got up and sang my song and changed the whole energy in the place one time real quick. And, that's what I was supposed to do.
Because Little Kim was falling out?
Yes, and screaming. And, and his mom, she wasn't happy about that because she didn't even want to have a big service. And I convinced her to let people come and pay their respects to him, So pretty much if it wasn't for me, I wouldn't even been able to be there, for real. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking of them too when I said you should let people come and, pay their respects to him. So, but, that was one of those times where I know back to that purpose, I definitely had to, had to say things in my way or, deliver whatever message God had at that time, because that's what it was about.
What happens when, kids from, the street, get millions and millions of dollars and lots of worldwide attention? Because you've been around that. You have seen it firsthand. Bad Boy, I remember in 96 was the year of Bad Boy records. It ruled the world. What happens when all of these young kids become superstars and millions of dollars are involved? How do they, did Bad Boy have like a psychiatrist or an analyst on payroll to say, listen, kiddo, this is what's going to happen to you? What happened to you? How did you work through? Because what happens, all of the stuff that you didn't even know existed comes to the surface when money and fame get involved. How did you work through that? Well,
I'm still working through it, to be real. I mean, there's some things that, I can't say I would do, I can't say I wouldn't have done that deal that I did at that time because it was a great situation at that time. But, I knew that for example, doing a co-publishing component with your artist deal, things like that kind of, pretty much everybody kind of is either you're going to take it and leave it or you're going to work it out or change, one or the other. So
I did it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have probably negotiated a little more, but I mean, I still didn't come out short in terms of the deal I did. However, were those things really being upheld on their end? Those are things that to this day, I'm still kind of, but at least I'm here and have this, and that was really my choice to not police or audit a lot of things.
Well, how were you to know?
By the time I did, I had to deal with my husband's estate, and with that came even 10 times the amount of stuff that I had to deal with my own personal, stuff. So, I'm still kind of cleaning up both of those things now, but I mean, I know how to do it. And because of the years and the having good relationships and still being in business with a lot of people, I'm able to do it. And I think, I don't regret that I didn't move on a lot of things earlier. I don't regret it at all because I may have been hasty and settled for something, less than what I really should have, which a lot of people probably did when they started seeing things weren't really being practiced fairly.
Was there anybody that you could go to? Would you like a therapist, or was there anybody in the business who would say, you know what, before you sign anything, before you do anything, make any decisions, come see me and I will give you the lowdown?
Well, not that I knew personally, that I felt comfortable, but the thing is, see, on that day when I was just that girl singing that part in that booth and Puffy said, do you want to sign on my new label? He sat me down and started writing down numbers and stuff. What I did, I knew better. I was like, oh, I have a lawyer. I was like, I got an attorney. I ain't about to sit here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm real smart and sharp, baby, but I ain't about to sit. I don't know what this is supposed to be. There's no way. So, I mean, I did, before I met him, I had met with an attorney because I was dating a guy who at the time was thinking, okay, maybe we could get a publishing deal because I was just writing songs and singing the demos, just figuring out what I could do with this gift and make some money. So I did meet a very good lawyer who actually was and still is Queen Latifah's attorney. He was my first attorney. So he was, he was very, very good in explaining everything and helping me realize the pros and the cons of the deal itself, But it was my decision to move forward in it. And, I knew that if I was smart and played my cards right, then when I moved further and did other deals thereafter and even renegotiated, I left room open for, if I'm leaving, I'm taking my stuff with me. You know what I mean? I learned along the way and I applied those things every time I got another chance to do a different deal. So,
wow.
You
are an amazing person. You are someone who
Thank you.
It's and you know this. It's amazing to meet someone who is just anointed and has just been touched. And you realize that, right?
Thank you. Yes, I do every day. Thank you, God. And I mean I know you know what it means. That doesn't mean I take myself any more seriously than the next or think I'm better than, but I do know that God has given me something within my spirit, within my voice, that connects with people. So.
And it's funny because, everybody has something. It's up to them to be able to find what it is. And that's what's so amazing about your story is that you found what it is early on and you were gracious enough to show it, give it to the world, so that the world would go, oh, I know how I could use this, and you're still doing it. And I thank you so much for talking to me on the podcast. And I know Michelle's going to be so jealous that we didn't get to talk she didn't get to talk with Faith Evans. The book is called
Keep the Faith.
Keep the Faith. And it's available on Audible, which is one of the companies that sponsors this podcast. Wait a minute. Or did you do a vocal version of
audio.
it? Well, you have to do a voice version
you know what?
of it.
I think the publisher wanted me to do that like 2-3 years ago, and I don't know whatever happened.
Right.
I may have been I think I may have changed my attorney around that time, but I've been asked about it now a lot more now because I guess it's pretty popular. A lot of people doing it.
It is. A lot of people want to hear your story.
Have you ever listened to an audiobook?
I do. I listen to them every night when I go to bed.
Really?
Because my head is still going and I will turn on an audio book and I will it'll lull myself to sleep. My brain will stop. I'll focus on that, and my brain will come down to sleep.
I gotta try it.
Yeah, go to audible.com and you will
it's
find
something
everything.
about just the pages.
Yes, I know. I
know.
know, but I do it all. I'll read a regular book. I'll do Audible, everything. Well, Faith Evans, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, RuPaul.
And I just adore you. Your voice is honey to me. It is
thank you. And this tea is pretty good.
Good. Thank you.
Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen? If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen?
And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes.
If you can't love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else? Amen.